knowledge is power, and the more patients understand their illness, the more they can make informed decisions as to the best options available to them. Fortunately, these days in the United States, most patients with advanced kidney disease do have options. In many parts of the world, they don't have options.
As a physician, it becomes very important to make sure that all aspects of education have been thoroughly involved. It could come from the physician, it could come from the coordinators, from the social workers, from family members.
The earlier we get patients in their course, the better outcome they're likely to have. So we want people to be referred for transplantation or consider their options as soon as they know they're approaching advanced kidney disease. They should say to their doctors or the caregivers, I want to understand what are my options here. The different forms of dialysis and the different forms of transplantation. And the earlier they refer to us, the better.
You have to make sure that the people who get the transplant are not only going to have a good outcome out of it, but they're also going to be responsible in making sure that those organs last for as long as we can make them last. So the key part of that becomes education.
The families ought to know the drugs will work if they take them at the right time, as instructed by their doctor. And so it's very, very important that we educate them to do exactly that. There are all kinds of myths. People talk to each other and say they've stopped taking their drugs and nothing happened. Actually, that's a very, very dangerous thing to do.
Patients present very nervous and very apprehensive. They do not have adequate information coming into transplant. Sometimes they hear that kidneys come in ice. So often their questions are, do you have the refrigerator that houses the organs here on campus?
We saw that there was a tremendous need to reach out to the Latino dialysis population. We hired and trained peer educators or transplant recipients to be peer educators. The peer educators go into dialysis centers to provide one-on-one education to dialysis patients.
Now when I go to give my information to another patients like me, I notice how important it is, because sometimes because we're so lost, then when we start we don't have that much information.
There's a misconception that you have to be a perfect match, and as I mentioned, medications have improved so much that's no longer true. And after the transplant, there seems to be an idea on the patients that now that they've gotten a transplant, it will just last them forever. But it does require very dedicated follow-up on the physicians as well as on the patient side. Educating them about these misconceptions becomes very key, not only in terms of the patient's life, but in terms of outcomes, and again, having those organs last for a very long time after they've been implanted.